I am preparing to do the iron spectrophotometer method. I have all my glassware all labeled and ready to go. And these are my reagents. I have a phenethylamine monohydrate reagent that I made before class. I have an iron stock solution, 200 ppm. I have some concentrated HCl, and I have ammonium acetate buffer solution. I am going to get the spectrophotometer ready. We are going to be switching to the rectangle cuvettes, but before I do that, I need to make sure the spectrophotometer is working well. So I'm going to get out my directions here. Verifying photometric accuracy. I need to change the wavelength to 590. So I'm going to hit, it is already on 590. And we are verifying the photometric accuracy using transmittance. So make sure the holder is empty, close lid, and press measure blank. Then we are going to follow the rest of these directions. Here's a 9.2 low transmittance. I'm going to put this in here. Looks like we are in range. I'm going to take that one out. Let's put the 50 in there. .4. Looks like we are in range. So we are good to go. Now I'm going to change and get ready to use the rectangle cuvettes. Let's see here. There we go. And we need to change it back to absorbance. So I'm going to change the mode. Absorbance. So as you see, we are going to be running these on 510 nanometers. So I'm going to change it to 510. And it's ready to go when we need to. So these are the directions to making the standards using our iron stock solution. And so I'm just going to add a certain amount of stock solution to one of these big guys here. And then after that, we're going to pour a little bit off, add HCl and the color reagent and the buffer. And fill that up. And then we're going to mix it. And then we're going to run it on the spectrophotometer. So right here, I have a blank. I just measured out 50 mils of DI water. We don't need to fill a big one and pour some in here because we're not adding anything to that. This is just to make our standards and dilute it up, the iron stock solution. Same thing with the test. The test we're not diluting up. We're just going to add 50 mils of the test solution and then add it to our 100 along with our acid and our ammonium acetate and our color reagent and dilute up to 100 and add it to the flask for mixing. So now I have poured out some of my iron stock solution into a different beaker, and then I'm going to follow the directions here for each standard. This one here, add 1 mil, 2 mil, 4 mil, 5 mil. So that's what I'm going to do now. Add 1 mil. next one gets 2 mils.
Okay. Everybody back?
And then I'll keep going on and fill all these to 1000. All of the standards have been made. I put on some tops on there. I'm going to mix them really, really well. And then out of that, I'm going to pour 50 mils of each into their respective 50 ml volumetric flasks. Okay, I have 50 mils of each standard in the test sample and the blank poured off. I am going to now add this to the 100 ml flask, and depending on whether you have to deliver or to contain flask, I may rinse it out with some DI water and add it to that to get every little bit out. So I will do that now since I only have 3 hands. So here's where we are right now, 50 mils of each standard and test sample and blank in the 100 ml flask. Next we go, add 1 ml of concentrated HCl to each flask. So here we go, I add some poured off and I will pipette. Here I go. I am going to do each of these exactly the same. Each one gets 1 ml including the blank and the test sample. So next, according to the chart, to each standard and test sample, we are going to add this phenanthrene color solution depending on how much iron is in the sample. So you see that the higher amount of iron in the sample, you will need more of the phenanthrene color solution. And then each sample is going to have a little bit of this buffer to each solution. So eventually, we're going to have a flask with 50 mils of each standard, 1 ml of HCl, a certain amount of the color reagent, and 10 mils of buffer solution. And then we will fill up to 100 with DI water. So I have added the color reagent, and now to each of them I'm going to add 10 mils of the ammonium acetate buffer solution. This is some pretty thick stuff. Okay, the buffer is in, the HCl is in, the color reagent is in, and the 50 mils of each standard is in. Now I have to fill each of these up to 100 mils. So everything is now diluted to 100 mils. I am going to parafilm them and mix them real well, and then let them sit for the color to develop. I believe it's 5 to 10 minutes. So after color development, I poured the sample into these flasks so it's easier to pour. We did not get very good color with our procedure, so there will be modifications. But as a demonstration, here is our rectangle cuvette, and we need to blank our spectrophotometer. So I have poured the blank into the cuvette. We are using the same cuvette for each of our standards, so here's a waste bottle to dump in between, and we can do a little rinse with the DI water. So let's come over here. Let's put our sample in. Okay. Measure blank. Okay, can take that out now. Dump it out, rinse it with the DI water, and then add my 0.2 standard. And then, once I read the absorbance, write it on a list. So I am done, and these are my results, and as you can see, we did not get good color development. I checked the pH, and it's closer to 4 rather than 3, so that's probably a source of error. Maybe something with the timing of adding the reagents. But look forward to a change in procedure.